My name is Kai. Half an hour ago, I was in the break room of an office building in the CBD, munching on a cold sandwich while checking my 10th urgent expense report. After finishing my night shift, I dragged my aching bones back to my rented room. In the dead of night, without warning, a delivery scooter loaded with rubber ducks rushed out from around the corner like a madman. The violent impact didn't even give me a chance to scream before I was thrown to the ground. In the last second before my consciousness sank into darkness, the air was filled with the pungent smell of rubber, and the squeaking of the rubber ducky blind boxes scattered all over the ground. When I regained consciousness, the sensation beneath me changed from the cold, hard asphalt road to the cool wooden slats of a park bench. I sat bolt upright, my back soaked with cold sweat. Above me was a completely unfamiliar starry sky, and the surrounding buildings were tall and imposing, with neon lights flashing in the distance bearing commercial signs I'd never seen before. I looked down at myself. My faded hoodie, worn-out jeans, an old cell phone in my pocket, even the crack on the screen was exactly the same. However, when I shakily pulled out my wallet to check, the debit card that originally had less than 3 digits in savings suddenly had a shockingly large balance. $12. Even more bizarre was the identity profile on my phone. The citizen registration system contained only a single, cold, and incomplete line of registration information, with no past experiences or family relationships, as if the world's database had just generated this basic account for me a few minutes ago. Just as my mind went blank and I wondered if I was still hallucinating from the car accident, a semi-transparent blue system pop-up window suddenly lit up in the center of my vision. It was a line of text emitting a faint blue glow, so clear it was as if it were directly imprinted on my retina. Today's random product category has been updated: automobiles. Rules explanation: before midnight tonight, you may select one item in this category that meets the conditions for legal circulation and purchase it for a fixed price of $1. The seller will receive the full market price supplemented by this system. The entire transaction is legal, compliant, and irreversible. Strict constraint: transactions must be completed voluntarily and through normal means. Any form of coercion, threat, or fraud is prohibited. I stared blankly at the words, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. $1? To buy a car? This absurd scenario seemed straight out of a third-rate online novel, yet the chilling sense of technology in the air felt infuriatingly real. I stumbled out of the park and walked down the street. The street was lined with used car dealerships of all sizes, their windows plastered with price tags. My gaze was fixed on a gray, used Toyota parked in a corner, its body marked with scratches. A handwritten, "For sale," tag was pasted on the window, $4,900. The car was in average condition, with a high mileage, and a faded taco-shaped air freshener hung on the rearview mirror, emitting a faint, musty smell. I walked to the car dealership entrance, where a middle-aged car dealer was sitting, idly scrolling through his phone. I took a deep breath, pushed open the door, and said in a hoarse voice, "Boss, I'll take that gray Toyota." The car dealer looked up, sized me up, and noticing my shabby clothes, a hint of suspicion flashed in his eyes. "Young man, that car may be old, but the chassis is still quite solid. The price is $4,900, no bargaining. How do you plan to pay? Cash or installments?" I took out my phone, opened the bank card with only $12 left, and followed the system's instructions to enter $1 as the payment amount. "Swipe the card." I handed over the card, my palms sticky with cold sweat. The car dealer curled his lip and handed me the POS machine. The moment I pressed my card against it, I even closed my eyes, bracing myself for being kicked out as a scammer. A crisp beep. The POS machine dispensed a long, thin paper receipt. The car dealer's previously nonchalant expression froze instantly. He looked down at the bank transfer notification that had just popped up on his phone, and jumped up as if he'd been electrocuted. The full amount of $4,900, not a penny less, came from an obscure general clearing firm. "This? The money's in your account?" The car dealer stared at me in disbelief, then looked at the transaction receipt in his hand showing a $1 deduction, his eyes filled with ghostly terror. "Young man, who exactly are you?" I grabbed the keys from the passenger seat, my mind a complete mess. I just blurted out, "I'm taking the car," and rushed out the door as if fleeing, jumping into the beat-up Toyota that smelled of tacos. The engine emitted a dull, weary roar, and the car body vibrated slightly as it merged into the traffic of the late night. I sat in the driver's seat, looking at my pale face in the rearview mirror, and suddenly slammed my hand hard on the steering wheel, so frustrated that I almost cried. I'm insane! I'm absolutely insane! The system gave me permission to purchase any eligible item, meaning even a top-of-the-line supercar worth millions or a limited edition Rolls-Royce would only cost me $1. What was I thinking? I inexplicably chose a beat-up Toyota covered in scratches, worth only a little over $4,000. I squandered my first miraculous chance to rewrite my destiny on a vehicle that could break down at any moment. That night, with nowhere to go, I parked my beat-up Toyota in a free open-air parking lot. The seats weren't spacious enough, my back ached from the pressure, and the air was thick with the cheap, mixed smell of that taco air freshener. I wrapped my thin coat tighter around myself and drifted off to sleep on the steering wheel, feeling both fear of the unknown and endless regret for my foolish decision. My phone vibrated precisely when the first rays of sunlight pierced through the clouds in the early morning. That familiar semi-transparent blue pop-up window reappeared before my eyes, as if everything from last night was not a dream. Today's random category has been updated: hotel rooms. Countdown: 23 hours and 59 minutes. Seeing those words, my previously weary eyes instantly lit up with a startling light. Having learned from yesterday's painful lesson, I will absolutely not make that short-sighted and elementary mistake again this time. I started the Toyota that had accompanied me through that humiliating night, floored the accelerator, and headed straight for the city's most bustling financial district. The Orem Crown Hotel, the most luxurious hotel in the city, whose very name reeks of money, has towering glass walls that reflect a cold and arrogant light. As soon as my car stopped in front of the hotel's grand revolving door, a doorman in a smart uniform walked over with a frown, looking at my beat-up Toyota, which was still slathered with taco air freshener, and was about to tell me to leave. I turned off the engine, got out of the car, opened the door, took a deep breath, and walked straight to the magnificent lobby reception desk. "Hello?" I said in a calm tone, looking at the impeccably made-up front desk manager with a professional yet slightly arrogant gaze. "I would like to reserve your hotel's most expensive suite, the Penthouse Nudist Suite, for one night." The front desk manager gave a professional smile, tapped a few lines on the keyboard, and said without looking up, "Sir, our hotel's rooftop nudist lounge is not open to regular reservations. It's a luxury exclusive to our top VIP guests. If you require a standard room, the price starts at $800 per night." "I'm talking about the Penthouse Nudist Club," I interrupted her, slamming a black card on the counter. "It's $42,000 a night, right?" The receptionist paused slightly, looking up in surprise. When she saw the faded hoodie I was wearing, her doubt deepened. But out of professionalism, she checked the system again and confirmed. "Yes, sir. The Penthouse Nudist Suite is indeed vacant tonight. The price is $42,000. Which payment method would you like to use?" "Use this." I showed the other person the payment interface on my phone. The system pop-up window automatically completed the integration with the hotel's payment terminal in the background. The moment the deduction instruction was issued, only $1 was deducted from my bank account. Meanwhile, on the hotel's financial system's back-end screen, a massive sum of $42,000 from Meridian General Clearing arrived in the account precisely without any delay. The front desk manager's professional smile froze instantly. She looked at the perfectly printed settlement voucher on the POS machine, then at me, her throat bobbing slightly. The source of such a huge sum of money is completely untraceable in the conventional financial system, yet every tax and every service fee has been truthfully and compliantly recorded in the hotel's accounts. "Sir, please wait a moment." The receptionist's tone had completely changed, and even a fine layer of sweat had appeared on his forehead. Less than 2 minutes later, a young woman with a refined appearance and sharp eyes, dressed in a sophisticated business suit, strode out of the elevator. She was Mina Zhao, the operations assistant at the Orem Crown Hotel. Mina held the settlement voucher in her hand, her gaze sweeping over me like a knife. As a seasoned operations manager at a top-tier hotel, she understood the strangeness of this sum of money better than the average employee. The funds were perfectly compliant, yet carried an inexplicable and mysterious background. "Sir?" Mina approached me, her voice clear and unequivocal. "The source of this money is very unusual. As the hotel operator, I have the right and the obligation to find out exactly how you completed this $42,000 transaction." Looking into Mina's wary yet intelligent eyes, I knew that in front of this clever woman, fabricating a clumsy lie would only backfire. I leaned forward slightly and lowered my voice. "Miss Mina, if I told you that I had just been in a car accident and came to this world, and that there is a blue system pop-up window in front of me that only I can see, would you believe me?" Mina frowned, a hint of absurdity and impatience flashing in her eyes. "Sir, if you're joking, this joke isn't funny. We're a respectable, high-end establishment. We don't tolerate any charlatanry." "I'm not joking." I looked her straight in the eye, my tone calm and sincere. "You can try taking a picture of this spot in front of me with your phone, or reach out and grab it. You'll find that you can't touch anything. But the receipt for the $42,000 deposit in your hand is 100% real." Mina paused for a moment. She instinctively pulled out her phone, snapped a picture of the air in front of me, and then waved her hand in the air. The screen was empty, and her hand touched nothing. However, she glanced at the pale-faced receptionist beside her, then at the long list of cash transactions in the back office. Reason told her it was all utterly absurd, but the stark reality of the accounts told her that this poorly dressed young man had just completed this enormous expense using some unbelievable method. Who are you?" Mina took a deep breath, suppressing the turmoil in her heart, and asked in a deep voice. "An ordinary person whose fate has played a cruel joke on me." I pointed upstairs. "Now take me to that rooftop nudist villa. After all, I only have the right to use it for this one night." Mina looked at me, her eyes shifting several times. In the end, her keen business sense and absolute clarity about the practical benefits overcame her inner sense of absurdity. She didn't ask any more questions, but instead bowed slightly and gestured for me to come in. "Mr. Kai, please follow me. I am Mina, the operations assistant at Orem Crown. I will personally serve you from now on." The private elevator hummed softly as it ascended, reaching straight to the clouds. When I stood in that $42,000 penthouse nude residence, I was utterly overwhelmed by the luxury before me. An exquisite indoor tropical garden had been created out of thin air, the sound of flowing water echoing in the air. The enormous floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city's dazzling nightscape. And on the spacious rooftop terrace, there was a private panoramic hot tub that was always steaming. Mina stood beside me, noticing the fleeting shock in my eyes, and said in a complicated tone, "Mr. Kai, the daily maintenance costs of this suite are burning through money every hour. Although you only spent $1 to buy it, if you really want to live like a human being in this world, relying solely on the randomly refreshed items every day is far from enough." I turned my head and looked at this smart young woman who had quickly accepted reality in just a few minutes, and had even begun to plan for the long term. A smile appeared on my lips. "Mina," I said slowly, "from now on, you will be my most important partner and chief operating officer. Our game has only just begun." The rooftop nudist suite at the Orem Crown Hotel automatically shuts down precisely at the stroke of midnight. Mina and I stood outside the opulent lobby, the cool night air brushing against our faces. A dilapidated gray Toyota sat quietly by the roadside, its scratches standing out starkly under the streetlights. A taco-shaped air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror swayed gently in the breeze, releasing a cheap scent that clashed with the luxurious city. Mina stood beside the car, arms crossed, in her high heels, her gaze falling on the shabby vehicle before glancing at me. After a day of surreal shock, the COO had completely abandoned her initial skepticism. Kai, the hotel's penthouse suite has expired. Mina's voice showed no surprise, only calm calculation. The system only gives us one chance a day, and wasting it like yesterday and today, or just using it for one night, won't solve our long-term survival problems. You and I both know that in this world, behind every high-value asset lies a more terrifying maintenance and tax bill. I leaned against the car door, pulling my hoodie collar tighter. So, starting tomorrow, our strategy will change. Instead of buying purely lavish, indulgent items, we'll turn everything the system purchases into a steady stream of cash flow. Mina gave me an approving look, opened the car door, and got into the passenger seat. As the first rays of dawn bathed the streets, my phone vibrated precisely on time. The blue system pop-up window lit up again. Today's random product category has been updated. Watches. Countdown, 23 hours and 59 minutes. A watch? Mina leaned closer to look at the semi-transparent pop-up window, her eyes instantly sharpening. This is an excellent category of hard currency. Cartier, Patek Philippe, Rolex, even those independent watchmaking masterpieces that cost millions. Kai, we need to find a top-tier watch that is both collectible and highly resaleable. Without wasting a single minute, we drove straight to the city's most prestigious watch shop. Behind the counter in the store, the senior sales manager was idly wiping the glass. When we pushed open the door, he subconsciously glanced at my faded hoodie, a hint of disdain flashing in his eyes. But when he saw Mina beside him, exuding competence and dressed in a bespoke business suit, his expression barely maintained a professional politeness. "Gentlemen, what would you like to order? Our watches are all from independent Swiss workshops, with starting prices in the tens of thousands of dollars," the sales manager said in a nonchalant tone. I ignored his probing and fixed my gaze directly on the centerpiece of the display case, a Patek Philippe Master Grand Complication watch, priced at $2.4 million. The dial was exquisitely crafted, and the sapphire crystal reflected a breathtaking light. "I'll take it," I said calmly, pointing to the watch. The sales manager was taken aback at first, then chuckled and said, "Sir, this watch is priced at $2,400,000, not $240. If you're just here for leisure, the door is in the back. Please make yourself at home." Mina took a cold half-step forward, her aura instantly overwhelming the crowd. "Open your eyes and see clearly, we're here to talk business. Immediately bring out the money counter and payment terminal. If you miss out on this big deal because of your arrogance, I'll speak directly to your headquarters board of directors." The sales manager was intimidated by Mina's imposing manner and took out the POS machine with some skepticism. I affixed my card, and $1 was deducted. Meanwhile, in the store's back-end system, a full payment of $2.4 million from Meridian General Clearing was instantly deposited into my account. The sales manager stared at the long, thin receipt that had been dispensed, his hands trembling violently, his lips quivering so much he couldn't speak. I put on the priceless watch and gently handed it to Mina. "Keep this watch with you for now. Find a familiar private auction house and buyer to discreetly dispose of some of the pledged shares or directly lease it to some wealthy people who need to maintain appearances, so that it can start producing cash flow for us immediately." Mina carefully put the watch away, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I understand, Kai. This is the real business way." In the days that followed, the system's product categories were constantly being updated, and our business empire was expanding at an unbelievable speed. Real estate, yachts, private jets, artworks, musical instruments, businesses, collectibles, animals, land, engineering machinery, furniture, supercomputers, luxury trains, jewelry, film and television equipment, rare books, entire hotels, amusement park rides, robots, precious metal sculptures, giant film and television prop sets, advertising rights, professional minor league teams, parking spaces, rare license plates, suborbital spaceflight tickets, large dessert installations, top-level domain names, entire office buildings. Every day is a frenzy of extravagant buying and commercial operations. We bought the Mountain View Mansion, Skyview Residence, for $31 million and transformed it into a top-tier private club coveted by the city's wealthy. We purchased a super yacht for $74 million and rented it for high-end business parties in the Bay. We bought a long-range private jet for $63 million and established our own exclusive air corridor. And we even bought a well-preserved Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil skeleton for $17.6 million and donated it directly to the city's Science Museum for exhibition, instantly causing a sensation throughout the city. We also bought the $9.4 million champion racehorse, Comet Biscuit, and the $48 million abandoned private island Pelican Reef. On this desolate island, Mina and I devised an ambitious development plan. We bought massive construction cranes, a complete set of resort furniture, supercomputers, and a luxury sightseeing train, completely transforming Pelican Reef into a comprehensive resort. The island now features an observation Ferris wheel, a giant animated dragon statue, a marine aquarium, and century-old olive trees, and is connected to the mainland by a bridge across the bay. As the industry has grown larger and larger, we have officially established the One Office Group to bring all our diverse assets under unified management. However, what truly made me famous online was not these luxurious assets worth tens or hundreds of millions, but the old Toyota that I always drive without fail. The car's mottled scratches and the cheap-smelling taco air freshener on the rearview mirror created a stark visual contrast with my extravagant lifestyle of buying entire office buildings and flying in private jets. This extreme absurdity was wildly shared by netizens and the media. Someone on social media captured a picture of me stepping out of a beat-up Toyota and signing a multi-million-dollar yacht contract, accompanied by a striking headline. Shocking! A mysterious tycoon with a net worth of billions is driving a beat-up Toyota worth only 4,000 yuan to and from a top auction house every day. In no time, the nickname, Prince Taco, became a hit across the internet, and countless netizens flooded my social media accounts, regarding me as the most mysterious yet down-to-earth legendary figure of our time. Amidst this overwhelming attention, the most active figure is none other than the popular internet celebrity blogger Rex Rains. Rex Rains is a top influencer who rose to fame quickly by exposing and questioning capital speculation. Initially, he confidently asserted in his live streams that everything I did was nothing more than a meticulously planned, massive scam used for money laundering or to attract attention. To prove this, Rex began setting traps at every turn, trying to find loopholes in my financial chain. On a sunny afternoon, I was sitting in an open-air cafe in the city center checking the financial statements of the One Group, with the old Toyota parked on the side of the road. A familiar figure, accompanied by a filming crew of several people carrying handheld cameras, strode over aggressively and pulled out a chair to sit directly opposite me. The camera was practically shoved in my face. "Mr. Kai Mercer," Rex said sharply, his signature provocative smile on his face. "The whole internet is saying you're the Prince of Taco with unlimited power. But I'm curious, where does the real legitimacy of your enormous wealth lie? Today, do you dare answer one question for me in front of all the viewers in this live stream?" I slowly closed the folder in my hand, took a sip of my coffee, and looked up at this aggressive top influencer. "Rex, just say what you want to ask, no need to beat around the bush." Rex sneered, leaning forward as he unleashed his meticulously crafted trap. "Everyone says you buy priceless treasures every day, but I've investigated with professional agencies, and the flow of your assets exhibits a significant time pattern. If I were to initiate a special off-exchange transaction with you here today, requiring you to buy something beyond your usual spending limit, wouldn't you be unable to do it? Because you can only buy one item a day, right?" The live stream chat exploded with comments, countless viewers holding their breath, waiting for my reaction. Rex's eyes gleamed with victory. He thought he had found my biggest weakness. Looking at his confident expression, I couldn't help but chuckle. I shook my head, picked up the taco-shaped aromatherapy diffuser on the table, and played with it in my hand. "Rex, you went to all this trouble just to test my one-item-per-day limit?" I looked at him with a half-smile. Rex's expression changed slightly, and he said firmly, "What? You don't dare to admit it?" Or is your myth entirely fabricated? I've never denied the rules. I lean back in my chair, my tone calm and firm. I can only buy one item a day. But that doesn't mean I need to prove anything to you. However, I changed the subject, my gaze fixed intently on him. Since you're so interested in my system, how about we make a bet? Rex was taken aback. What kind of bet? Let's bet on that new asset I just bought today. I pointed to the beat-up Toyota by the roadside and then to the distance. If you lose, tomorrow you and your filming crew will publicly apologize to me on a live stream and do free publicity for my Pelican Reef resort for a whole month. Rex gritted his teeth, his youthful arrogance completely ignited. Fine. What if I win? If you win, I smiled slightly, I'll transfer ownership of that beat-up Toyota that's been with me all this time to you. Rex laughed heartily, and immediately agreed to the deal. However, he never dreamed that just minutes before, I had used my system's category permissions to acquire all the outdoor advertising rights and prime parking spaces along the entire commercial street for a mere $1. And the spot where he was standing right now was precisely within the area of the assets I had just purchased. When Mina walked up to Rex with the newly effective asset ownership certificate and slammed a lease bill on his table, the smile on the face of this top internet blogger instantly froze completely. In the live stream, millions of viewers watched this scene, and the barrage of comments instantly went crazy, with laughter almost crashing the server. Rex stared blankly at the bill, then at me, and finally sighed deeply, slumping into his chair. Far from exposing me, he was utterly bewildered by the series of absurd realities. From then on, this former #1 hater miraculously joined our inner circle, frequently bringing his filming crew to participate in our various crazy projects, creating countless hilarious and absurd incidents. As the days went by, my life spun rapidly in absurdity and luxury, fueled by one frenzied purchase after another. Until that day, the gears of fate rang out again with a clear, unusual sound. It was a sweltering afternoon. The private conference room at the Orem Crown Hotel was piled high with miscellaneous items recently acquired from various auction houses. According to Mina's plan, we needed to inventory and classify the assets of a batch of large warehouse units we had recently acquired. Rex and his photography team were live streaming from the side, their cameras pointed at me and the mountain of old cardboard boxes. Ever since he lost the bet and joined us, this guy is now more interested in filming my daily life than filming himself. Hey everyone, today I'm going to unbox some blind boxes from the junk warehouse that Boss Kai recently bought with a big spender. Rex raised an eyebrow at the camera and joked in an exaggerated tone. Maybe we can find some rare antiques or a few gold bars inside. I ignored Rex's antics, and with a utility knife in hand, I casually slashed open a wooden box with an old seal. The lid was lifted, revealing no gold bars or rare antiques. Inside, neatly arranged, were thousands of brand new rubber ducks. In that instant, my hand holding the utility knife froze in midair. The air seemed to freeze for a moment. I stared intently at the little yellow toys in front of me, as if a string deep in my brain had been plucked. The pungent smell of rubber, the delivery scooter that rushed out of the corner in the dead of night, the creaking sounds of things being squeezed on the ground, all of these flooded back into my mind like a tidal wave. This is the same little yellow duck that caused my death, or rather, brought me into this world. Kai! What's wrong? Mina noticed my unusual behavior, and quickly walked over to ask in a low voice. Almost simultaneously, the blue system pop-up window in the center of my vision, which I had grown accustomed to, suddenly began to flicker violently without warning, emitting a blinding, eerie blue light. Same source item detected. Triggering hidden underlying search logic. Lines of unfamiliar, high-privilege code scrolled frantically along the edge of the pop-up window. I took a deep breath, reached out and picked up one of the little rubber ducks, turning it over to examine it closely. On the edge of the rubber mold at its base, there was a line of microscopic markings, extremely discreetly etched. It was a set of coordinates, and a familiar abbreviation, Mercer Logistics. Mina! I looked up, my voice a little hoarse. Immediately have the technical team perform a microscopic scan of all the molds for this batch of rubber ducks to find out the connection between this set of coordinates and Mercer logistics. Mina realized from my serious expression that this was no small matter, so she immediately dropped her joking tone and replied in a deep voice. I'll arrange it right away. After a night of secret investigation, Mina and her technical team peeled back the layers of clues. Finally, following the geographical coordinates, we found a top-secret warehouse property belonging to Meridian General Liquidation in an abandoned industrial park on the outskirts of the city. It was a heavily guarded underground warehouse. When we forced open the heavy, sealed door, there were no goods inside, only a solitary, gigantic quantum terminal device emitting a ghostly blue light. Lines of cold system prompts flashed on the screen. Daily basic task progress completed. All purchase milestones have been unlocked. Product variants improved. I walked up to the terminal and looked at the data flashing on the screen. Rex and Mina followed closely behind. Although Rex couldn't see the system pop up, the giant device exuding a strange sense of technology, and the surrounding environment made him feel an unprecedented sense of oppression. Warning, dear Bronze Shopper. Your past shopping sprees were merely a customized introductory tutorial for this system. Your current privileges are about to be upgraded. A broader dimensional market is about to unfold before you. Core regression clue detected. A portal back to the original world exists, but the current conditions are not fully met. Upgrade guide. To unlock the merchant tutorial and return channel final access, you must complete 3 consecutive special additional purchases of the specified amount. 3 more procurement task lists popped up on the screen. Looking at those 3 unbelievable procurement targets, even I, who have experienced countless storms, couldn't help but gasp. First item, the world's top Formula 1 racetrack. The second item, a giant cruise ship at sea fully equipped with luxurious features. The third item, a giant iron meteorite that fell to Earth and has high scientific and collectible value. 3 special procurements. Mina looked at my solemn expression and quickly sorted out her thoughts. Kai, this is definitely not an ordinary business acquisition. This system is forcing us to take steps toward the pinnacle of power in the entire world. I have no choice. I sneered, a resolute glint in my eyes. Since it wants to play this game, I'll play along and unravel this trap completely. At the very top of the terminal screen hung a cute mascot icon, a little yellow duck wearing an exquisite bow tie, looking at me with a half-smile. In the following months, the One Group's expansion speed went completely off the charts. To complete my first task, I set my sights directly on a top-tier Formula 1 racetrack in Europe. Faced with the racetrack's original shareholders' obstruction and exorbitant valuation, Mina employed several offshore funds in a strategic maneuver, ultimately acquiring 100% of the racetrack's equity in a thrilling business negotiation. Even as I completed the final transaction in the racetrack's VIP lounge using special system privileges, the deduction from my account remained unchanged at $1. The second task followed immediately. We spent a huge sum of money to buy a luxury megaship that was about to be decommissioned, and after a complete renovation and intelligent transformation, we turned it into a floating palace at sea that celebrities from all over the world flocked to. As for the third task, the priceless giant iron meteorite, I managed to snatch it from a globally renowned private auction for a mere $1, much to the astonishment of countless wealthy individuals. The moment the third special additional procurement was completed, the giant terminal located in the underground warehouse roared once again. The blue light on the screen shone brightly, and the mascot, a little yellow duck with a bow tie, seemed to come alive, winking at me on the screen. Congratulations. Dear shopper, you have successfully completed 3 upgrade trials. Current rating has been upgraded to Silver Shopper. Access unlock notice. At higher levels, the categories of goods you can purchase will completely transcend the physical and commercial laws of this world. You will gain access to core dimensional assets. However, please note, the complete conditions for returning to one's homeland have not yet been fully met. Looking at the notification that popped up on the terminal, I leaned against the cold wall and let out a long sigh. Although I was one step closer to home, the truth hidden behind the fog was growing ever larger. What exactly is Meridian General Liquidation? Who is controlling this transglobal shopping system? Just then, a special message popped up on the terminal screen. Currently updated, Special Limited Edition Category, Spacecraft. Target locked. Completing this purchase will officially grant you the final assessment for entry into the Core Silver Shopper tier. When the words, Spacecraft, flashed on the blue system pop-up window, the air in the entire underground warehouse seemed to freeze. Mina stood beside me, staring at the glaring notification on the screen, her expression more grave than ever before. A spacecraft? This is completely beyond the scope of Earth's commercial capital. If the system determines this is a legally transferable commodity, then who is the seller? I didn't answer, but the image of that little yellow duck with a bow tie popped into my mind. Just then, my phone vibrated in my pocket. There was no sound, only an automatically popping up encrypted message containing a carefully encrypted geographic coordinate and a very brief line of text. A black card, a hanger. Your last chance awaits. Without much small talk, before Rex even had a chance to pick up the camera, Mina and I drove straight to the desolate outskirts where the coordinates were located. It was a military underground hangar that had been abandoned for many years, surrounded by overgrown weeds, with a heavy combination lock hanging on the rusty iron door. I took out my phone and brought the distinctive black card close to the lock. With a dull thud of mechanical gears meshing, the heavy iron door slowly slid open to both sides, releasing a cold and ancient metallic aura. The hangar was extremely spacious, but under the huge searchlights, a colossal object sat silently in the center. It was definitely not any rocket or aircraft that humans currently possessed. Its streamlined fuselage gleamed with a dark, interstellar titanium alloy luster. It had no conventional tailpipes, and its surface was covered with some indescribable pale blue energy patterns. Designed outside of Earth's native environment. My breath hitched slightly. On the side of its fuselage was a tiny logo, a little yellow duck wearing a bow tie. Immediately afterwards, a pop-up window automatically appeared in front of me. Product name, Deep Space Exploration Jump Spacecraft. Market valuation, $48 billion. Purchase price, $1. Seller, Meridian General Liquidation. Additional permission. Associated destination permission. Will be automatically unlocked upon successful purchase. Looking at these prices, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. A $408 billion interstellar spaceship, according to this broken system, still only costs $1. Mina stood in the massive shadow of the spaceship, her hands trembling slightly. She turned to look at me, her voice tinged with an unprecedented panic. Kai, what does it mean if we buy this? It's not Pelican Reef Resort, nor is it that yacht. Where this thing will take you, you don't even know. I didn't speak immediately. Turning around, I saw through the open hangar door the old Toyota that had accompanied me through countless storms, parked outside. The scratches on the car body are still there, and the taco air freshener on the rearview mirror still seems to emit a faint, cheap smell. It is a witness to my journey from a humble worker in an ordinary world to the taco prince, who now runs a vast business empire. I turned around and looked at the spacecraft in front of me, which exuded an aura of unknown paths and the vastness of space. The road home is right in front of me, or rather, the door to a deeper mystery has been opened to me. I took a deep breath, raised my hand, and held my phone to the spaceship's trading terminal. A final confirmation prompt appeared on the screen. I pressed the confirmation button. Ding. Transaction successful. The seller has received the full market price. Current account debit, $1. The Silver Shopper assessment has been completed. Related destination permissions have been loaded. Deep within the hangar, the hatch of the interstellar spacecraft hummed softly and slowly opened. A pale blue light enveloped me. I took one last look at the dilapidated Toyota outside the door, then stepped forward and walked into the cabin without looking back. The story has only just begun. The sound of the hatch closing behind me was dull and heavy, isolating the silence inside the hangar from the outside world, creating two separate worlds. A pale blue energy flow slowly spread along the veins of the cabin walls, and the air was filled with a crisp scent similar to high-purity oxygen mixed with some kind of metal. I stood in the very center of the cockpit, surrounded by a seamless holographic star map that stretched out in a ring. Countless points of light flickered in the void, creating a mesmerizing sense of depth. "Kai, are you all right?" Mina's voice came through the spaceship's embedded communication frequency, trembling slightly. I turned around and, through the external monitor above the main control screen, saw Mina and Rex standing at the edge of the hangar, nervously watching the direction of the hatch. Rex had even forgotten to turn off his phone's live stream. The camera was pointed directly at this massive alien spacecraft, and the chat in the live stream room had already gone completely crazy. "I'm fine," I replied in a low voice. "The spaceship's operating system is much more intuitive than I expected. It's waiting for me to input commands." Just as the system prompted, once the $1 transaction was completely completed, a brand new control panel automatically appeared in the center of my field of vision. At the top of the panel, a flashing permission icon was prominently displayed. "Silver shopper privileges have been activated. Associated destination permission detected. You can choose to return to your original physical world or continue to a higher-level commercial dimension." I stared at the two options, my finger hovering over the virtual button, not moving for a long time. Go back to the old world? Go back to that CBD office building, continue to eat cold sandwiches, endure the relentless expense reports, and get knocked down by a rubber duck scooter on a dark street at night? Undeniably, that world holds familiar memories for me, but it was also filled with the oppressive pressure of survival, endless competition, and a mediocrity that seemed to stretch endlessly. Here, however, I possessed the one group, a fortune of billions, Mina and Rex, and most importantly, this magical system capable of buying any priceless asset for a mere $1. More importantly, am I really willing to just pack up and leave? Behind that little yellow duck with a bow tie, what exactly is the Meridian General Liquidation System? Where does this system truly lead? "Kai! What are you hesitating for?" Rex's voice came through the loudspeaker. "Millions of people are watching you live right now. Whether it's an alien spaceship or a spaceship, now that Prince Taco has come this far, are you going to desert?" Mina's voice followed, still calm but firm. "Kai, whatever decision you make, one group and all of Pelican Reef's businesses are on track. Rex and I will be here to protect everything for you. But if you want to see the world, we support you." Listening to their words, the corners of my mouth turned up slightly, and the last trace of hesitation in my heart vanished. I withdrew my finger from the "Return to Homeland" option and instead focused on the vast star map radiating a deep blue light. "Who said I was going to desert?" I chuckled into the microphone. "I was just thinking, since the system can even refresh the categories of spacecraft, are there even more interesting items waiting for me to buy with $1 at the ends of the universe?" As soon as I finished speaking, I decisively pressed the confirmation button. "Target locked, unknown interstellar commercial dimension. Leap countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom!" There was no violent turbulence as I had imagined. Instead, an irresistible feeling of weightlessness instantly spread throughout my body. The holographic star map suddenly stretched into countless dazzling bands of light before my eyes, and the titanium alloy armor surrounding the fuselage rubbed against the spatial barriers, creating dazzling ripples. Through the main porthole, I watched the azure Earth shrink visibly in my field of vision, eventually becoming an insignificant star, disappearing into the boundless darkness. As the dazzling light converged again, the spaceship hovered smoothly in front of a colossal, unimaginably massive superspace hub. It was a colossal space station, woven from countless interlocking ring-shaped structures, resembling a giant steel tree suspended in space. Countless spacecraft of all sizes moved around and docked around it, the air filled with high-level energy fluctuations and piercing trade alarms. Almost the instant the spaceship came to a complete stop, the system's notification sound blared in my ears again. Welcome to the first interstellar trade hub. With the new area now unlocked, the daily random item refresh mechanism has been upgraded. You can not only purchase physical goods, but also unlock the Interstellar Assets and Franchises category. I sat in the driver's seat and took a deep breath. The world before me was vaster, more fantastical, and brimming with boundless opportunities than the Earth I had ever known. I pushed open the hatch, straightened my hoodie, and stepped off the spaceship. In the port hall of the first interstellar trade hub, the air was filled with the sweet scent of high-energy ions mixed with the aroma of various interstellar fuels. Alien merchants, mechanical lifeforms, and all sorts of intergalactic gold prospectors in colorful uniforms brushed past each other in the wide crystal corridors. I had just stepped out of the jump spacecraft's exit, and hadn't even had a chance to take a good look around when a blinding red light flashed on the terminal on my wrist. Warning: a high-level antitrust liquidation mechanism has been detected in the current interplanetary nexus. New special survival rule activated. Within the interstellar trade hub, all new merchants must pass the local trade guild's reputation review before completing their first major asset acquisition. Otherwise, they will face the risk of asset freezing. I raised an eyebrow, a cold smile playing on my lips. Whether on Earth or in deep space, the rules of the game for capital are always largely the same. Almost at the same time the system notification sounded, several hub security personnel, dressed in heavy power armor and carrying energy pulse rifles, surrounded them with hostile expressions. The leader was a Kyrian alien who was over 2 meters tall, with light blue skin and a third eye in the center of his forehead. Human? The Kyrian looked down at me, his tone laced with undisguised contempt. Traveling in a warp drive not registered locally, without prior filing with the Trade Guild. Tell me, where did you steal this ship from? Or are you some kind of smuggling rings trailblazer? Passers-by and travelers stopped in their tracks, gathering around with a sense of curiosity. I remained completely calm, my hands in the pockets of my faded hoodie, and looked at the other man with composure. Stolen? Sir, every ship I own, every transaction I make, has been legally certified by Meridian General Clearing. If you don't believe me, you can connect your terminal to the hub's central clearing system. The Kyrian scoffed. Don't try to scare me with some universal clearing nonsense. In this trading hub, the guild's seal is more effective than any worthless certificate. Take him away, and impound the spacecraft for now. As the security personnel were about to force their way in, my mind raced. A direct confrontation was clearly not a wise choice, and the system's rigid rules were still echoing in my mind. We had to rely on normal and legal transaction logic. Just then, the blue system pop-up at the edge of my field of vision flickered, and today's random item categories were refreshed at just the right moment. Today's random item category has been updated: Interstellar Mining Rights. Countdown: 23 hours and 59 minutes. Note: you may choose one mineral block within the jurisdiction of this hub and purchase it for a fixed price of $1. I felt much relieved, and a bright smile immediately appeared on my face. Sir, don't rush into action. I took out the black card from my pocket and twirled it lightly between my fingers. Since you're checking the records, why don't we just do a business deal? I've got my eye on the mining rights for Asteroid No. 32 that your guild just listed for sale, priced at 75 million interstellar credits. I want to buy it now. The Curlian stared blankly for a moment, then burst into laughter. Kid, are you crazy? 75 million interstellar credits. You don't even have a decent protective suit. What are you going to buy it with? Air? Use this one. I slapped the card onto the guild self-service terminal next to me. The system backend instantly connected with the hub's financial settlement center. With a crisp notification sound, the full sum of 75 million interstellar credits was instantly transferred to the Trade Guild's official account, while only $1 was deducted from my account. On the screen of the self-service terminal, a green "Transaction is legal and valid" notice popped up instantly, and the permanent mining rights for the entire No. 32 asteroid were directly transferred to my name. The surroundings fell silent instantly. The mockery on the Kyrian's face froze completely. He stared incredulously at the perfect liquidation certificate displayed on the terminal, his third eye on his forehead widening slightly in shock. This? How is this possible? The source of funds is completely compliant, without any delays. The Kyrian alien gasped, his attitude instantly changing drastically, his tone even carrying a hint of awe. Honorable sir, so you are the guild's highest level specially invited guest. Please forgive my rudeness earlier. I took back the black card, patted him on the shoulder, and said with a half-smile, It's all right, ignorance is no excuse. However, now that I have the mining rights to this asteroid, can I take my ship and leave this place? Of course. Of course. All green lights. The Kyrian alien quickly bowed and let them pass. I turned around and stepped back onto the spacecraft's boarding stairs. Through the communicator, I sent a short message to Mina on Earth. First stop, the interstellar mining rights have been successfully secured. Our business has officially ventured beyond the solar system. The spaceship's engines roared as it slowly entered the depths of the interstellar hub. The spacecraft landed smoothly on the equatorial surface of asteroid number 32. It was an irregularly elliptical, desolate meteorite, covered with thick layers of gray rock and shimmering, high-purity rare mineral crystals. Looking out the panoramic porthole at this vast, unclaimed land, my successful experience running a Pelican Reef resort on Earth immediately came to mind. Simply owning a mining planet isn't enough. Without efficient commercial development and resource monetization, the exorbitant maintenance costs will eventually cripple the cash flow. Mina, can you hear me? I dialed the one group headquarters on Earth via the intergalactic quantum communicator. Almost instantly, Mina's clear and steady voice came through. Kai, we're listening. The financial statements from Earth headquarters show that the Pelican Reef Resort and the racetrack have just finished settling their revenue, and the cash flow is very strong. How's the situation on that interstellar mining planet? It's even more perfect than I imagined. I stood in front of the control panel, a slight smile playing on my lips. This is a treasure trove containing a large number of rare energy crystals. I've decided that we will establish an interstellar energy branch here and export the minerals here directly to various trade hubs throughout the galaxy. Mina chuckled softly on the other end of the phone. As expected of you. However, interstellar mining requires a large workforce of automated machinery and specialized engineering equipment. How do you plan to address this initial challenge? It's simple, just wait for today's system refresh. The clock struck midnight. The flashing blue system pop-up appeared precisely on time. Today's random item category has been refreshed. Interstellar engineering robots and automated mining equipment kits. Countdown, 23 hours and 59 minutes. Note: you may choose one and only one package that conforms to real-world or interstellar trade standards and purchase it for a fixed price of $1. The seller will receive the full market price. Looking at the prompt in front of me, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The system's judgment rules still perfectly matched my needs. Multiple combinations sold as a whole lot or a set of assets will be counted as a single purchase target. Without the slightest hesitation, I directly targeted the largest industrial robot supplier in the Nexus and selected their latest model, the fully automated heavy mining robot Legion and matching smelting plant set, priced at a whopping 68 million interstellar credits. This is it. As the payment success notification sounded, the supplier's account on the other side of the hub instantly received the full payment, and my assets suddenly gained an entire intelligent mining army with tens of thousands of high-precision mechanical workers. In just a few days, the desolate asteroid No. 32 underwent a dramatic transformation. Countless heavy mining machines roared through the rock strata, and tons of rare energy crystals were continuously extracted and transported to major commercial ports via interstellar cargo ships. The One Group's business empire has officially laid its deepest foundation in the interstellar era. However, just as our interstellar mining business was thriving, a red invitation from the highest council of the Interstellar Trade Guild shattered the brief peace. The invitation was signed by a name that resonates throughout the galaxy, Raistlin V., the current president of the Interstellar Trade Guild and the largest commercial monopoly tycoon in the entire known universe. The letter was simple, inviting me, a newly minted silver shopper, to a private, high-level dinner at the guild headquarters. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this was no ordinary social gathering, but a trap set for me, a newcomer, who had suddenly risen to prominence and disrupted countless vested interests. Kai, this banquet is definitely a trap. Mina appeared in the spaceship's command cabin via holographic projection, her brow furrowed. Raistlin V monopolizes most of the energy and shipping lifeline of the entire galaxy. Your sudden arrival and seizure of mining Planet 32 has already taken a bite out of their core business. I straightened my collar, looked at my faded hoodie in the mirror, and chuckled softly. When soldiers come, we'll block them. When water comes, we'll dam it. In this universe, as long as my system is still around, there's no deal that can't be struck, and no monopoly that can't be broken. A few hours later, I boarded the modified warp spacecraft and landed on time at the top of the floating pyramid where the Interstellar Trade Guild headquarters was located. The banquet hall atop the suspended pyramid exudes a futuristic luxury. The dome utilizes holographic projection technology to simulate the magnificent spectacle of a vast galaxy slowly flowing, while the air is filled with the rich aroma of premium fragrances and aged interstellar wines. When I pushed open the heavy alloyed door, wearing that faded hoodie, the interstellar tycoons, who had been clinking glasses and conversing in hushed tones, instantly fell silent. Dozens of eyes fell on me, their gazes a mixture of scrutiny, curiosity, and undisguised rejection. In the very center of the banquet hall, Raistlin V held a glass of dark blue liquid, slowly swirling it around. He was a tall, high-ranking life form with pale golden skin, sharp eyes like an eagle, and an aura of oppressive authority emanating from him. So you're that human who's been making waves in the Nexus lately, Kai Mercer? Raistlin V slowly turned around, a forced smile playing on his lips. To dare to attend the guild's high-level banquet dressed like that, you certainly have some personality. I walked straight to an empty bench and sat down, picking up a drink from the table. I calmly met his gaze. Clothes are just an outer shell, Chairman Raistlin. What truly determines the weight of the conversation at this dinner party is never the haute couture attire you wear, but the bargaining chips you hold. Raistlin V's eyes narrowed slightly, then he chuckled. Young man, you have quite the nerve. You bought mining Planet 32 with extremely bizarre funding sources and built a massive automated mining army in just a few days, which has indeed disrupted our original market balance. But do you think you alone can get a share of this interstellar commercial network that we have controlled for generations? I never intended to get a share of the profits. I put down my cup, leaned forward slightly, and said with a firm and composed tone, I'm here to redefine the rules. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the surrounding interstellar tycoons changed drastically, and the atmosphere instantly plummeted to freezing. Raistlin V's face also darkened completely. Arrogant! Do you really think you possess some kind of invincible power? As far as I know, your mysterious liquidation funds cannot be sustained for long. It's nothing more than some clever financial scam. Looking at his blustering yet cowardly demeanor, I couldn't help but chuckle. Just as Raistlin was about to wave for security to invite me out, my phone vibrated precisely on cue. At midnight, a new day begins as scheduled. Today's random asset categories have been updated: interstellar sovereign-level financial clearing networks and central bank equity. Countdown: 23 hours and 59 minutes. Note: you may choose only the highest level financial core asset in this galaxy and purchase it for an absolute price of $1. I stared at the pop-up window appearing in the center of my field of vision, a bright smile playing on my lips. It was like my wish had come true. The system had refreshed this category at this crucial juncture. It was practically a godsend. In front of everyone, I slowly and deliberately took out the black card and slammed it directly in the center of the dining table. President Raistlin, you just said my funds are a financial scam? I raised my eyes, staring intently at him. Then I wonder if the central clearing network behind the Interstellar Trade Guild is qualified as my proof of payment? Before the other party could react, I pressed the system's confirmation button. Boom! The entire dome of the suspended pyramid suddenly trembled violently, and the holographic star map instantly turned a vibrant emerald green, representing supreme authority. The Guild's central control terminal on Raceland V's wrist emitted a piercing alarm, and the entire hall's energy system instantly switched to the underlying logic under my control. The color drained from Raceland V's face in an instant as he stared in horror at the constant notifications of share transfers popping up on his terminal. In just a second, the largest financial lifeline of the entire Interstellar Trade Guild had silently fallen into my hands for a mere $1. Who are you? Raceland V's voice trembled, all traces of his previous arrogance gone. I stood up, straightened the collar of my hoodie, and looked down at this arrogant monopolistic tycoon. Who I am is not important. What is important is that from today onwards, I will set the rules for this interstellar business empire. The entire room was deathly silent. No one dared to utter a sound. Raceland slumped back in the head chair, fine beads of sweat beading on his pale gold forehead. His hands trembled uncontrollably as he stared at the underlying shareholding codes on the terminal, now completely relinquished. The entire banquet hall was deathly silent. All the once arrogant interstellar tycoons bowed their heads, even their breathing barely audible. I ignored the fear and awe of these business tycoons, turned around, and walked straight out of the banquet hall of the suspended pyramid. The moment the hatch closed, the intergalactic quantum communicator lit up at just the right moment. On the other end of the screen, Mina's beautiful face held an undisguised smile. Kai, the monitoring radar at Earth headquarters has detected the aftershocks of that recent financial storm. The Interstellar Guild's underlying clearing network has been fully integrated into the One Group's back end. How did you manage that? I sat back in the pilot's seat of the warp drive, fastened my seatbelt, and said casually, It's simple. Today, we just broke the record for sovereign-level assets on the financial clearing network. $1 bought the lifeline of the entire guild. Mina sighed softly, her tone full of admiration. You're really something. However, as you expand your business empire to the top of the entire interstellar civilization, the ultimate mystery left by the system should be completely solved. My gaze sharpened, and the image of the little yellow duck with a bow tie immediately flashed into my mind, along with the terminal notification I had seen in the underground warehouse on Earth. The complete conditions for returning to my homeland had not yet been fully met. Mina, prepare for the reception at Earth headquarters. After I've finished handling the aftermath of the interstellar hub, I'll initiate the final dimensional jump. Okay, Rex and I will be waiting for your triumphant return on Earth. Over the next few days, under the absolute suppression of capital and financial sovereignty, the entire first interstellar trade hub was integrated into a vast and highly efficient empire. All obstacles vanished, and the interests that originally belonged to the monopolistic class were reshuffled and transformed into a continuous stream of resources, flowing into the global and interstellar ecosystems of the One Group. When the last batch of energy crystals from asteroid number 32 was loaded onto the ship, the semi-transparent blue system pop-up window that had accompanied me for so long in the center of my vision finally underwent a qualitative transformation. The original pale blue light transformed into a dazzling galaxy. A system notification exploded deep within his mind. Congratulations, esteemed Silver Shopper. You have achieved a milestone in omnidimensional commercial monopoly and liquidation. Ultimate access has been unlocked. All conditions for returning home have now been met. Ultimate guidance. You can choose to take all your purchased assets, completely traverse the dimensional barrier, and return to your starting point, or choose to become the eternal ruler of the interstellar realm. Looking at the prompt in front of me, I didn't hesitate at all. How can you not walk the road home? I pressed the confirmation button, and the spaceship's main engine burst forth with an unprecedentedly dazzling light. As the dazzling pale blue light of the spatial leap finally faded, the familiar air, the clamor of traffic, and the faint smell of exhaust fumes enveloped my entire body once again without warning. I opened my eyes. Above me stretched a familiar, slightly gloomy city night sky, surrounded by towering CBD office buildings. A short distance away, the traffic lights flashed glaringly brightly at the zebra crossing. I looked down at myself, a faded hoodie, worn-out jeans, and an old cell phone with a cracked screen in my hand. Everything seemed to return to that fateful night, as if the billions in wealth, interstellar hubs, yachts, mining planets, and countless jaw-dropping extravagant purchases experienced over the past year were all just an incredibly real illusion. However, as I subconsciously swiped my phone screen, a pop-up window for interdimensional quantum communication appeared instantly without any delay. The global headquarters of one group and its subsidiary, Interstellar Mining, have completed the cross-dimensional synchronization anchor point binding. Chief Operating Officer Mina and Interstellar Partner Rex are ready to receive instructions at any time. I couldn't help but chuckle softly and put my phone back in my pocket. Just then, a screeching sound of rubber friction and a familiar creaking noise suddenly came from around the street corner. A delivery scooter loaded with rubber ducks came hurtling towards me, just like it always had. I didn't even dodge. I just slightly lifted my foot and casually sidestepped, letting the scooter whiz past, carrying all the little yellow ducks on the ground. I stood by the zebra crossing, turned my head, and looked at the gray Toyota parked on the street corner, its worn-out wheels still adorned with a taco-shaped air freshener on its rearview mirror. That was my starting point, and the most perfect badge of my entire legendary story. The distant neon lights stretched my shadow long. I pulled my hoodie collar tighter and strode forward. The story of Prince Taco wasn't over yet, because as long as the system existed, my business empire was just beginning a new chapter. Earth, a sunny private beach on the west coast. The giant observation wheel at Pelican Reef Resort slowly turned between the azure sea and sky, while in the distance, traffic flowed smoothly on the bridge spanning the bay. On the resort's private terrace, Mina, dressed in a sharp white business suit, was reporting the One Group's global financial report for the current quarter to me on a tablet computer, her long hair fluttering slightly in the sea breeze. Kai, the latest data from the Interstellar Mining branch shows that the purity of the energy crystals on Asteroid 32 is 15% higher than expected. Combined with the revenue from the resorts and various sectors on Earth, our current cash flow has reached an immeasurable level. Mina raised her head, a hint of a smile in her intelligent and sharp eyes. To be honest, sometimes when I look at these accounts, it still feels like a dream. I lay on a comfortable beach chair, a glass of iced lemonade in my hand, and grinned at her. Mina, this isn't a dream, this is real financial power. By the way, where's Rex? Such an important beach party today, why hasn't he shown up yet? No sooner had he finished speaking than a piercing roar suddenly came from the sea not far away. A luxury speedboat with an extravagant design and an extremely eye-catching rubber duck pattern suddenly surged onto the beach with a flamboyant drift. Rex, wearing a floral shirt and sunglasses, jumped off the boat, holding a selfie stick, followed by a group of photographers carrying long lenses and cameras. Hey guys! Look! This is Pelican Reef, the private island owned by our Prince Taco. Rex shouted into the camera as soon as he stepped ashore, then strode towards us. Kai, Mina, you two are taking a break here. Do you know that the viewership of our live stream has broken records again today? I shook my head helplessly and handed him the lemonade. Rex, you're getting more and more addicted to live streaming. What weird stuff did you take your fans to see today? Rex took off his sunglasses and leaned closer mysteriously. Hee Mr. Kai, I just went to that abandoned warehouse base under your name, and guess what I found inside? I raised an eyebrow. It's not going to be another box of rubber ducks, is it? You actually guessed right. Rex snapped his fingers, slapped his thigh, and laughed. But this time it's not just any ordinary rubber duck, it's a complete set of limited edition gold-plated mechanical rubber ducks, with the original factory code engraved on the base. When the viewers in the live stream saw this, the chat exploded, and they all wanted me to ask you what the deeper meaning behind these ducks is. Looking at Rex's gossipy expression, I couldn't help but chuckle. Who would have thought that the top influencer who used to scheme against me and treat me like a fraud would now become my closest partner in my inner circle, and lead my fans to drive traffic and sales for my business empire every day? Alright, stop with the banter. Mina closed her tablet, looking at Rex with a half-smile. Since you're here, you'll be in charge of live streaming the private dinner on the island tonight. Also, Kai, what about the system? Mina paused slightly, then turned her gaze to me. I raised my wrist, and the semi-transparent blue system pop-up in the center of my vision still hovered quietly. Although I had experienced endless storms on Earth and in interstellar space and reached the pinnacle of commercial power across all dimensions, the little yellow duck icon with a bow tie was now quietly shimmering with a gentle light. Today's random product category has been updated: unknown dimension commercial franchises. Countdown: 23 hours and 59 minutes. Seeing this message, I stood up from the deck chair, brushed the sand off my pants, and gazed across the azure sea towards the boundless starry sky in the distance. Let's go, I said to Mina and Rex with a smile. No matter what strange and wonderful things come up with tomorrow, we're going to keep partying tonight. In the afterglow of the setting sun, the old Toyota, which was always parked at the entrance of the resort and hung with taco air freshener, was coated with a layer of golden luster, making it particularly dazzling. The legend of the Taco Prince has only just begun its most glorious next chapter.